What up, guys? It is Makoa Goble here with LowKickMMA, and today I'm joined by the one and only Juan Archuleta. Juan, how are you doing, my man?
What up, Mako? I'm doing good, man. Super blessed.
Yes, sir. So let's get right into things. You've got an upcoming fight against Enrique Barzola, less than a few weeks away at Bellator 286. How's the camp going? How's the cut going? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling right. It's you're feeling good and going into this fight. I'm super excited to get some redemption going back into this fight and pick right back up where I left off.
That's right. And how do you feel about Enrique as an opponent? Negative feelings, positive feelings? Is there things that you know you've got to watch out for? Things like that?
No, I mean he's definitely a great martial artist. Like this guy comes and brings a really good pressure that kind of meets the outpace like mine. Comes out there, tries to break his opponent with the pace, and he's in your face. He throws high offense, which is going to be different from my last two fights that I've had. A guy sitting back, just waiting to play defensive games and things like that. So the fans are in for a treat on this one. You got two guys that are high power offense that are ready to go out and make a fight happen.
Nice, nice. And I know you spent a lot of time with some killers like TJ Dillashaw, Brian Ortega, and Cub Swanson. What's it like to train with talent like that? And do you feel like it gives you an edge over people that might not be coming from camps like that?
Yeah, I mean, you're training with some of the best guys in the world and guys that have really good longevity in the sport, right? Like guys that have been at championship level, guys that competed against championship level. And so having that mind state and having that influence around you definitely helps motivate you to stay on top with them, and keep up
Yeah,
with them.
yeah. So little change of pace here now. I've seen that you've been to the top of the stairway of heaven in Hawaii. I've seen that you've gone scuba diving before. And out of those two things, which one did you enjoy more?
I mean, they both have different meanings on why I did both of them, right? Like the stairway to heaven after the fight, it was something to kind of remind me to continue to take one step at a time, right? Like it had a different meaning on what I was doing it for. Like it's like, okay, this is very dangerous, very scary. It's early in the morning. It was right after my fight, and it was like you're walking each step, and you keep looking up. You're like, man, this I'm really high up, and the wind's picking up, the rain's pretty heavy, and it just continued to remind me that my whole goal in this sport was to make it a career, right? Is to have it as protecting my family, doing something that could be around my family with. Because growing up, my mom and dad were hard workers. They worked 9 to 5 jobs. I mean, my dad pretty much was sun up to sundown construction, and my mom she drove hours away where they would leave at before we even woke up, 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. They were gone and wouldn't get home till nighttime. So being able to be here for my family and see them throughout the day has been a blessing. And then scuba diving, that's like something that's way out of your control, right? It's like
Yeah.
swimming with manta rays and swimming underneath where you're uncomfortable, have that uncomfortability of like being able to thrive down there and see, like, if you're able to control your emotions and control what you not control, but to let go of control and just open your eyes, you could see a
Yeah.
whole new world down there. Like, as cliche as that sounds, like Ariel and the Little Mermaid, right? It's a whole new world. Like, our, but really, like going down there and seeing a whole new world down there and being able to see fish and the way they communicate, the way they eat, the way they process things, it just makes you realize how minute you are in life and how everything works together and synergistic together. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't enjoy one more than the other. I think each had its representation on life and what it brings and, what to appreciate.
Man, I absolutely love that. I think that's extremely wise, and I think it speaks to your wisdom as a true mixed martial artist. Do you got anything
Thank you.
planned after this fight? Do you want to have any trips planned, places you want to go, maybe?
Yeah, after this fight, I actually the day after I go out to the Apache reservation and I harvest my own food. So I'm gonna be hunting an elk and hopefully, being able to harvest one. With the on a Apache reservation, that's like, and that alone brings a lot of sentimental value as well because I'm, half Apache and it kind of being able to be around the people and understand the people and give back to the community and let them show that what opportunity they can have as well as myself, like, and what the belt brought to them, and seeing the influence it brought to the young culture was is truly remarkable, you know. And I'm excited to get back to that community because that's one of the things I love to do the most.
Man, that is beautiful and very wise. And I've seen that you're not only a fighter, it looks like you've got a successful side business called the Poncho Brothers. It looks like you're let's talk about CBD in sports. I mean, do you feel like fighters or media are giving it a bad name? I mean, Johnny Walker was on the news recently saying that it's held him back and et cetera, et cetera. What's kind of your take on that? And maybe talk about the business a little bit and things like that.
Yeah, it's the truth, you know. It's like if you're inside all day and you work a job that requires you to be in from sun up to sundown, when by the time you step outside, you're taking a deep fresh breath of air, right? And like you're enjoying being outside. Like people are meant to be outside. Same thing with plants, you know. You got to understand what a plant is. It's a living organism, and so what we do is regenerative farming, where things are grown outside and things are put together in a family where they grow together, you know, with other vegetables, with other fruits, with other flavors, with other compounds, pulling out certain minerals out of the ground to rejuvenate the soil. And, you know, just constantly giving back to the plants. When you're in a indoor setting and you're growing these type of plants that are force fed, and you know they're being force fed minerals, force fed nutrients, they're being told what to do, you know, they're basically slaves to their owners. And no one likes that type of feeling, right? You can't perform in that type of environment. It's very similar to plants. And so what we do at the Poncho Brothers is regenerative growth on the land, on landscape. It's living with the land and not on the land, right? There's way two different meanings. So as long as you're taking care of your farm, and as long as you're taking care of your soil, you're going to see prosperous fruit grow out of it. And what we see with the Poncho Brothers, the reason why you get anxiety, with the reason why you get all these depressions and these type of loops that people fall into in certain highs, are because they're force fed with chemical grown medicine that's not really getting the true medicine out of the dirt. You know, God put this earth here for us to be able to grow in abundance, have fields and orchards of fruits and vegetables. And so at the Poncho Brothers, that's what we're bringing back and giving to the community. Not only that, is we're going to be able to use that type of business to give out scholarships such as art, horticulture, agriculture, and just really educate people that are interested in that type of environment. And you know, be able to showcase what people could do when they work together instead of for themselves.
Nice. And I was going to ask you about your ultimate plans for the business and things like that, but you really did an amazing job of breaking that down. And I think that's a great side business you've got. As a
Thank you.
fighter, do you think that CBD helps you in any way, or do you like to look at it as like, hey, like it's an alternative to pills or whatever like that? You know, what's your kind of take on that?
Yeah, it's like goes back to saying making it in a lab, right? Like when you make something in a lab, you're putting energy into something that people don't really want to do. When someone loves their job and loves what they do, and they're tending to the garden and tending to the plants, it's filled with love, compassion, good vibrations. And so the whole body's run off a frequency. Like if you go outside and you're enjoying the air and you go out in nature and you come back to the city, you're like, man, I really love my vacation. Well, that's not really a vacation. That's how we're supposed to live, is the vibrations from the earth. And so the I do believe that CBD, THC, and things can be medicinal use for people that are struggling with certain anxieties and perform lack of performance, and you know, problems with sleeping, and you know, just when they have a lot on their mind. There's different types of strains that could help that, right? Like a sativa, indica, a hybrid, just depending on what type of behavior problems you're experiencing, right? And these type of medicines are, I feel, are better than, you know, man-made pills, and you know, stuff that's fentanyl ingested, and you know, just we could go on and on about it. You know, the big pharma
Yeah.
type deal, right? Like it's made to make money, you know, not made to help people.
That's right, and we will leave it at that. Very, very wise stuff from you. Let's get back to the fighting. Where does Enrique stack up to your compared to your previous opponents? Because you face some of the greatest fighters that Bellator has to offer in one of the most competitive divisions that Bellator has. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Enriquez came in and defeated the champ right away, so that spoke volumes, like a previous champ in Darian Caldwell. And Darian's no slouch, he's a great wrestler, great grappler, and he's pretty dynamic on his feet. And Barzola just exposed him, it's just like, man, like that's insane. And then going on taking, I think it was Tokov, or it was one of the I'm sorry, one of the younger guys out of Fedor's gym that I thought was going to come and make some noise. I didn't think Enrique was going to be able to handle that guy's grappling, and him just over pressuring him and overwhelming him spoke volumes. I mean, he is a tough champion for a reason, right? And so going into that last fight, dominating, just complete exposed Magomedov, and I was like, oh man, I kind of figured he was going to be the dark horse in the tournament to begin with, but then getting lazy on a shot and getting choked out exposed a little bit of what happens to him under pressure as well, right? So for me, I need to expose that early in him and just kind of keep chipping away at that block and kind of exposing some of his weaknesses, what I feel my strengths are. And I feel like his strengths are my strengths as well. So going into this fight, you're going to see, again, a very high outpaced fight that fans are going to love.
nice, nice. What's your prediction for Stotts versus Sabatello?
I mean, for me, I grew up, not grew up, but I've known Sabatello for a while. He wrestled at Purdue as well as I did, and he's tough. He's a gamer. He comes to brawl, and I feel like he could win. I definitely, when he takes him down and rides him out, Sabatello is going to be like, I mean, Stotts is going to be like, okay, how am I going to get out? Because Stotts is only a Division II wrestler. Like there's a huge difference and a huge gap between Division II wrestling and Division I wrestling, and we're gonna see that unless Stotts has his game plan, sticks to it, he's gonna be very defensive. So Sabatello is gonna have to play a little more defensive back and just kind of wear him down when he can and expose his wrestling a little bit, because he was very easy to take down. I mean, guys, I held him against the thing and the whole thing was wearing him down. It was going to get a lot worse for him in that third round. Granted, he threw a body kick and I got caught, right? So but I see Sabatello can win, and that's who I'm going with, just because I'm not going to go against him.
How bad do you want to even the score with Stotts after all that happened? Or is that not even a concern or a motivation to you?
Yeah, I mean, that fight's easy for me, right? Like I'm more interested. Like I was dominating that fight and my hands were in place. Like he just threw a body kick and it took a long time to get there. And I had to lean so far down that I put my head over my own knee and then I caught his knee. Like if I would have got caught with the shin, my hands were up to, and I was already countering on it, and just my body gave out, and it was just like one of those things that everything back here was braced and ready to for impact, and just the knee catching the front side of my frontal lobe was just like, man, like one in a million, right? Like I've blocked that kick a million times in my career and practice, and that's never happened at all. Like why now? But there's a purpose for things happening, and greater later is what one of my coaches always preaches on me. So I'm like, all right, greater later. I got to just remind myself that, and just know that when the opportunity comes, I've taken every opportunity Bellator has given me with grace and appreciation. So right now they're giving me Enrique. So that's who I got to beat, because I'm coming back up and getting that rematch with Pitbull here soon, if he still has a belt, or work my way up to that.
That's right. And my last question here for you, and I appreciate you taking the time today to chat.
Oh yeah.
Are you looking to be like a Bellator lifer, or are you thinking like, hey, if my contract expires, I may see what other options there are? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, with the opportunities that Bellator has given me, it's hard not to stay around, right? Like one great opportunity I would love that I still haven't been able to have the chance to is fighting in Japan, doing a cross promotion with one of their champions, right? And it's like we were close on inking a deal with Horiguchi, he pulls out last minute, and then I have to fight. Then I have to fight Enrique, and it's just like, dude, this guy must not want to fight or something. So, but I'm done chasing that fight now. Now it's on to the next one, which might be someone in Risen. Granted that takes place, but every opportunity they have given me, I've been super blessed for, and I love fighting for Coker. I mean, I'm one of his guys, and hopefully now with the president saying the pandemic's over, we could start picking up where we were leaving off right before the pandemic hit, because Coker had some really good visions on where the company was going to go, and everything was going to go on the up and up, and being active and being able to fight 4 to 5 times a year. And when the pandemic hit, I was only fighting once a year. This year, I'm fortunate enough to fight 2 times this year. So hopefully, starting up next year, he has a busy schedule for us fighters to stay more active.
That's right. Well, Juan, that's all I've got for you today. Before we go, is there any shout outs you want to give? Anything like that?
I just want to give a shout out to your fans for you guys tuning in. And Makoa, thank you again for having me on. I appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you so much, man. All right, guys. Peace. Sweet.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKickMMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.